McConnell declared that the case was closed on the Mueller report earlier this week, but now the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed Donald Trump Jr. Why? President Trump responded earlier today. Let's take a look.
My son is a good person. My son testified for hours and hours. My son was totally exonerated by Mueller, who, frankly, does not like Donald Trump, me, this Donald Trump. And frankly, for my son, after being exonerated, to now get a subpoena to go again and speak again after close to 20 hours of telling everybody that would listen about a nothing meeting, yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
All right, joining us now with reaction is the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell himself. Senator, good to see you. You have called this partisan paralysis, breathless conspiracy theorizing, unhinged partisanship, Groundhog Day, a spectacle. Stop relitigating a 2.5-year-old election result and move forward for the American people. I agree with all of that. What is Senator Burr doing? Did he not hear your message?
Well, I think the good news is the Chairman Burr has already indicated that the committee will find no collusion, because that will be consistent with the Mueller investigation. I think this is going to have a happy ending. I understand the president's frustration here, but I think this is just a blip. I think the case is closed. I think the controversy has been concluded. I don't think the House thinks that, and they're going to continue to try to stir this up. But enough already. I mean, you know, we found out from the Mueller report that the Russians were deeply involved in it. There were something like 18 to 20 indictments of Russian companies and Russian individuals who were trying to get into the campaign and to mess with it. I think it's over, and I think it's time to let it go and move on and try to deal with the people's business.
Specifically, is that your message to Senator Burr?
That's my message to the public. That's our view, that the case is closed and it's time to move on. And I believe when the Senate Intelligence Committee finally does report, which I think will not be too far down the road from here, they'll reach the very same conclusion. You
called yourself the Grim Reaper when it comes to the when it comes to the Green New Deal. Well, I mean, everything's going to be for free, so we're told, but we were also told that you can keep your plan and keep your doctor and save money. That didn't happen. Millions lost their plans, doctors, and everybody paid more. But this, I think this is an important point you're making. This is not just Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. We've got presidential candidates. How do you assess this group of 20-plus Democrats that want to be president?
Even the ones, Sean, that will declare themselves moderates will say with regard to health care that they want the public option. There won't be any private health insurance if you have a public option, because the government will always sell you the insurance cheaper. So no matter how they choose to characterize themselves, you can bet, whether it's Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, or somebody else, the nominee for president on the Democratic side is going to be on a path to try to turn America into a socialist country. We're not going to let that happen. Donald Trump's still in the White House, and as long as I'm Majority Leader of the Senate, I get to set the agenda. That's why I call myself the Grim Reaper. We will not have the Green New Deal, and we'll not have Medicare for none as long as I'm Majority Leader of the Senate.
Tell me about, and tell us about, your relationship with the president now. I know you said we're not going to do health care this year, but I know most Americans would like health care fixed. They would like to have portability if they change jobs. I personally like either health savings accounts. There's a health care cooperative where it's $50 a month, unlimited care in Wichita, Kansas. Dr. Josh Umber. What are the top agenda items as we close out this year and move into, you know, an election year?
Well, our challenge in doing any kind of health care reform now is the Democratic House. They're not going to agree to the kinds of things we'd like to do that you mentioned. The president established the business to form small groups for purposes of being able to allow groups to purchase insurance like larger companies, and a number of other things the administration's been trying to do through executive orders But look, you know what the Democrats want to do? They're running the House. They want to have Medicare for all, which is actually Medicare for none. Doing a deal with Nancy Pelosi's House is a real challenge. As the president's pointed out on health care, what he wants to do is to come up with a recommendation we can enact when we get the House back and hold the Senate, and he's in his second term.
Tell us about your relationship with President Trump, how you work together. Tell us maybe things you didn't know about him that you now, I assume you talk with him regularly. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we talk on almost a daily basis. We've been on the same wavelength almost all the time since he's been there. We're trying to take America in the same direction. And I want to particularly compliment the president for the extraordinary selection he has made for judicial appointments. As you know, Sean, the biggest call I made in my career was to not let Barack Obama fill the Scalia vacancy during the presidential election.
I give you a lot of credit for that, not many times.
The president didn't blow that opportunity. He sent up Neil Gorsuch. And then we fought our way through a highly controversial confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. But it's not just changing the Supreme Court that we did. We also are changing the circuit courts, one step below the Supreme Court.
All right, Senator, thank you for being with us. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, we appreciate you taking time to be with us.